A camera bag is seemingly one of the less interesting pieces of camera gear you can buy, but a bad camera bag can drive you crazy, cause you back pain, damage your equipment, while a good camera bag can make all the difference. But camera bags can get a bit expensive, and especially if you're a new photographer, there's probably other pieces of camera gear you'd rather spend that money on. So the question I want to talk about today is, are premium photography bags worth it? And how much should you spend on a camera bag? For the purposes of this video, I'm gonna be exclusively talking about camera backpacks because that's what I use and that's what I think the majority of photographers use. I'm not gonna be talking about rolly wheel bag or hard shell cases, just focusing on this style of bag. Here I have two of my camera bags. This is the Nomadic Peter McKinnon 25-liter everyday camera bag, and this is the Lowepro BP 450 AW2. I still hate that name. Nomadic recently sent me this bag and I've been using it a ton, whereas my Lowepro bag I bought about 4 years ago and have used it for literally every single shoot in those 4 years. The Lowepro lands in the mid-range for camera bags, around $200 US, while the Nomadic bag is a little more on the premium end in the $400 to $500 range, depending on how you configure it. So do you need to spend this much on a camera bag, or is this much okay? And what do you get when you spend $400 or $500 on a camera bag? But before we answer that question, let's look into the ghost of your camera bag future if you decide to go the very cheap route. This is my very first camera bag. I don't remember exactly how much it cost me, but it was definitely under $100. So why is this a bad option? When we take a closer look, you can really notice the lack of quality in a bag like this. The dividers are very cheap and flimsy. There's almost no padding anywhere around the bag here, and the Velcro is really weak, so the weight of the camera gear can actually just rip it apart and make your bag a mess. I'm not even pressing that hard. It just comes off. It also lacks any kind of little compartments or anything. You have this little thing here, but that's about it. And the outside material is very easily damaged and not weatherproof. Then on the other side of the back here, you have little to no padding here or on the straps. There's no chest strap or waist strap, any kind of support like that. And that's about it. Overall, you can really feel the cheapness of this bag, but is that such a bad thing? I mean, do you actually need like these really fine, high quality materials? Well, the quality of the materials the bag is made of affects more than just how stylish you look. The two biggest factors are how the bag affects your gear and how the bag affects you as a person. Because if you have poor quality materials, the padding won't be there and the protection won't be there. Your camera gear could very easily get damaged in a bag like this. If I were to hold my bag at chest level and just kind of drop it, I wouldn't feel too good about that. Whereas I have done that exact thing with all my camera gear in my Lowepro bag on many occasions and never had a problem. Then the other aspect is you and your physical well-being. If you have a cheap bag, if you're just showing up in a studio and setting it down on the ground, then this isn't as big of a factor. But if you do any kind of walking or hiking or any extended wearing of a bag like this will seriously wear on you. The lack of any kind of padding or any additional chest or waist straps will actually cause you shoulder pain and lower back pain over time as you wear the bag, especially if you take it on like long hikes, which is something I do somewhat frequently. Keep in mind, a full camera bag like this can weigh 25 to 30 pounds. That's a lot of weight to be carrying incorrectly on your shoulders. So if you couldn't tell by that description, I don't recommend you go on the really cheap end for camera bags. It's just not worth it to put all of your expensive gear into something like that. Now, how about we look at the other end of the spectrum, the more premium bags. Specialized hiking bags with suspension systems and any other special type of bag for a specific purpose also falls into this category. I'm just gonna say it, this is a very nice bag and I really like it. It's gonna be my main bag from now on, but do you need to spend this much on a camera bag to get all of the requirements out of a bag? No, you can spend less money and your gear will be just as safe and you can have still good back support and everything. The reason you spend this much on a camera bag is the little things. The entire outside material is weatherproof. You don't even need a rain cover with this bag. The water will just bead right off. It easily cleans. The handles are nice and thick and sturdy. There's a good amount of padding here, and on the back, you got these little breathable spaces here. And little attentions to detail, like there's a space here for you to put the bag on top of your suitcase roller. If you want to use this as a carry-on on a plane, you can just put this on top of your, it goes in the handles on the suitcase. There's other nice things like these magnetic water bottle holder / tripod holder things, one on each side. They just magnetize flat to the bag when you're not using them. And all the compartments feel really high quality. You also get a ton of customizability with how you can lay out this bag, whether you use dividers or the little camera cubes. I'm completely swapping this out and using it as my main camera bag now. And so far, I'm really liking it. The only time I don't use this bag is if I need more room for stuff because it's a 25-liter bag. And sometimes with videos, I need more equipment. But we'll get to that. So if a premium bag doesn't seem like it's for you, but you still want to keep your camera gear safe and you want your back not to hurt all the time, then I would look within the $150 to $250 range, which is where bags like the Low Pro BP450 land, or this PGY Tech 1 2 bag. I'm starting to think I have too many camera bags. In this price range, you can still find a bag that has lots of little compartments and features and high quality materials. And if you're just starting out and $150 to $250 still feels like a lot to spend on a camera bag, let me remind you how long a bag like this can last. This is my Low Pro bag. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at it here. You can see it's gotten a little bit scratched up. It's a little, it's a little beat up. You got the zippers are a little bit worn. It's definitely on the dirtier side, but everything on this bag is still completely functional. There's no rips, there's no issues with the zippers. There's nothing actually wrong with this bag other than it's just a little bit worn. And I've used this bag on literally hundreds of shoots over the past 4 years. And I could still keep using this bag. That's why I haven't gotten rid of it yet, because it's a solid backup. And I would have continued using this bag if Nomadic hadn't sent me theirs. Now I like that one a little bit more, but there's nothing wrong with this one. I could probably have used this for 10 years. The money you spend on a camera bag is definitely worth it in the long run. That goes for the premium bags too. If you are on the fence about a really high-end bag, just keep in mind it will last you a very long time. So there's a couple final things you need to consider when deciding what camera bag to buy. The first one is, what are you using it for? Because this will help determine the features that are important to you. And the second one is, how much stuff are you bringing with you? If you'll be exclusively going on long hikes or camping, you probably don't want any of the bags I just showed you. You probably want something more geared towards hiking. You can get bags that have a full back suspension system and extra roll-up storage space for things that aren't camera gear to make long hikes a lot easier on your back, and also to just fit more stuff that isn't just your camera. Extra clothes, blankets, whatever. If you mostly do indoor commercial projects, then the exact ergonomics of your bag probably aren't as important, but you still might want lots of little pockets and zippers and little side pouches. You also need to consider what you're putting in your bag, and in a more deep way, you need to consider what type of photographer are you? Are you I want to be prepared for everything no matter what kind of photographer, or are you more of a just one camera, one lens is good for me kind of photographer? Personally, I think 25-liter bags, like all the options I've shown you here today, are perfect for most photographers. I rarely have a shoot where I need more room than what comes in here, as long as we're not talking about like studio lighting equipment or something that's obviously not going to fit on my back. But all of my actual cameras and gear related to my cameras fits in here perfectly fine. So if you're not really sure where to start, 25 liters is great. You can fit like 2 bodies, 2 or 3 lenses, and then all the little accessories that you could possibly need for your cameras. Now that's for photo. For video, I usually cannot fit everything I need in a bag like this because I also have to take into consideration multiple audio devices and camera stabilization, like a gimbal, maybe a drone. That's not all gonna fit in here. At that point, you need to start looking into some larger roller bags or maybe just multiple smaller bags. But even on a shoot like that, I'm still putting my main gear in this bag and bringing the other stuff separately. If you're only shooting video or you're a photographer, but you know you like to carry around every lens for every possible situation, then you should probably look into something more like a 35-liter bag. That would probably be a little bit better. Any larger than that, if that's still not big enough for your camera gear, then you're probably gonna need to look into some roller bags. And if you are kind of a more one camera, one lens type of guy with a couple extra batteries, then something like this sling bag might be your best option. With a little bag like this, you have enough room for your camera, something else, some extra batteries, lens filter, whatever, and that's about it. But this is so much nicer to carry around than an entire backpack. But I'm gonna make a whole video on this coming soon. So the point of going through all of this is that you don't want to get a bag that's too big, because carrying around a huge bag that's mostly empty is a huge pain. But you don't want to get a bag that's too small, because if you have to bring extra bags to fit the rest of your stuff, that's also annoying. So ultimately, like most camera gear related things, it comes down to you and your preference and what your situation requires. So take an inventory on what you take to your average shoot, Figure out the size of bag that you're looking for, and then choose one within your price range. If you can get a more high-end bag, it is a very nice experience. I would highly recommend it. If that's not really in your budget, then something more in the mid-range is what I would recommend. If the mid-range is not within your budget right now, I would say wait and save up a bit, because the cheap bags are just not worth it. I'm gonna be linking all of my bags in the description along with all my other camera gear if you wanna check out any of them. And that's about it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.